Good afternoon. My name is Jacob Rubio, and this is my signature assignment video in Texas Government 2306. Today, my topic of choice is immigrant family separation. The reason I chose immigrant family separation is because it's a very close to home topic, considering I have much Mexican culture family, and I've known those that have dealt with the I know personally and have families that are immigrants, so I could personally relate to this, and it kind of touches at home. And I want to stand up and speak my political opinion about this topic. The article I chose to review and comment on is posted by Camilo Montoya Galvez on CBS News, first published June 8th, 2022, within the last month or so. In this article, it talks about how the Trump administration had published a new policy, a zero-tolerance policy, requiring the Border Patrol agents to separate migrant parents from their children for the purpose of prosecuting them for unlawful entry, designating their children as unaccompanied minors who must be housed by the U.S. Refugee Agency. At the front, this looks like they want to punish those who illegally enter the country, and that they would persecute them for that. In the spring of 2018, top U.S. immigration officials under the Trump administration complained that migrant families split up along the southern border were being reunited too quickly. Emails released to a federal court this week show. These emails I'm going to comment on are very upsetting, considering the fact that humans and everyone are supposed to be kinder and work together. Yet we see here that there are individuals in the government who want to split up families, and yes, they did cross the border illegally. However, I do not think that it is right or just to split up families and cause trauma to children's lives and break lives apart. Whenever the individuals who are causing this have a perfectly fine life and never had such trauma. On May 10th, 2018, Matthew Albinitz wrote an email about the implementation of the zero-tolerance policy, which required the Border Patrol agents to separate migrant parents from the children for the purpose of prosecuting them of unlawful entry. And they would be housed by the U.S. Refugee Agency. Although it may be considered okay because it is unlawful, illegal entry into the U.S., yes, it is illegal, so they should be prosecuted for that. I consider it against our founding principles and what our country was built on, with the famous quote, "the land of the free." Yet despite this, they believed it was okay to split families up over parents who wanted a brighter future. Yes, the Border Patrol should continue to look out for those who come here with ill intent, or sex trafficking, or drugs, smuggling, and many other negative things. However, I do not think it's okay to split so many lives apart and split families apart when it comes to things like this. And they should much take a closer look and a personal take on how this affects people. This will result in a situation in which parents are back in the exact same facility as their children, possibly in a matter of hours, who have yet to be placed in ORR custody, Albinitz wrote, referring to the Office of Refugee Resettlement. To prevent these quick family reunifications, Albinitz proposed in his email to ICE Acting Director Tom Homan on May 25th, 2018, Albinitz received a Friday night email confirming his concern, reuniting migrant parents with their children after prosecutions were complete. since the minors were still awaiting placement in a refugee agency shelter. Those placements were canceled, and Johnson said in his email noting that he assumed migrant fathers were being released with the children after the reunifications. This is a conversation going on between Albence and Tom Homan, the ICE acting director at the time. And they were going back and forth between emails. Albence then told other ICE officials, quotation marks, "We can't have this. Why must they not be able to have such a family coming back together? Yes, they should be prosecuted for their legal actions, although isn't such necessary to go such lengths." Continuing, quotation marks, "This obviously undermines the entire effort, and that going to look completely ridiculous if we go through the effort of prosecuting only to send them to a family residential center and out the door." Referencing concerns raised by ICE, Sandy Goldhammer, then a CBP official, suggested Border Patrol cease the reunification process if officials are concerned about appearances, the email shows. This is turning into more inhumane things, and our government officials from ICE and many other people are taking a bad turn. And I think this whole process about family separation was getting out of hand. Continuing, we have actions of what the Biden administration does. The batch of emails submitted to the federal district court in Arizona on Tuesday by attorneys representing the families seeking compensation over border separations and the latest revelation to undermine the Trump's administration of public statements. As you see, the truth was finally coming to light, and families are wanting payment for the trauma they caused their children. Imagine your own parents getting taken away from you, and as such action, your children who are such young age are just going with random individuals. I'm sure anyone watching this video would understand how drastic and cruel that is, to take children away from the parents, and at worst case, not allowing them to even reunify and just have to start over in life. That's like very traumatizing, and it's starting to turn inhumane. On multiple occasions, high-ranking members of the Trump administration even denied developing a family separation policy, saying the effort was designed to impose consequences on migrant adults traveling with their children by way of criminal prosecution. Officials said the policy would deter migrants from traveling to the U.S. Although, yes, it would deter them, should the U.S. use such methods and ruin lives and tear apart families? Should we steep that low to such a degree? I do not think so. This article shows a much brighter side to things, or a much darker side to things, and the truth behind what exactly happened through the emails so many of those who wrote them denied to the public. But the emails show that the family separation was an integral, deliberate part of the zero-tolerance policy. So from the very beginning, we can see that this was planned, and they did not want them to be reunified. And it's very upsetting to see our own government officials trying to tear apart families over such a trivial matter. Yes, the Border Patrol is a very important role, and everybody has a very important role in their own spots, but I don't think it is necessary to take such actions. The Justice Department, which has been seeking to dismiss the lawsuits filed by migrant families requesting monetary compensation, and even then they're starting to try to cover up and just dismiss and put in the past. The emails lawyers argued in court demonstrate the primary goal of the Trump administration was to split up the families and parents. And once again, President Biden called the border separations, criminal. As he saw this, he set up a task force to locate and reunite families affected by this policy who remain separated. 300 migrant children have been reunited with their parents in the U.S. task force, according to DHS, which estimates another 1,000 children remain separated from their families. Personally, I know that if such a thing happened in my life, this would be devastating. I'd never forget this part of my life. It would have a lasting effect on me. As we can see, the Biden administration has tried to fix mistakes, but as for now, there are not many solutions in the end run. Yes, I'm glad that he's making reprimands to the previous mistakes, but as we can see, it's unfair and unjust to the thousands of others, and I'm sure there's many who go unmarked. In a separate internal email from March 2017 released this week, HHS officials said separation of the children from their families could be considered a human rights abuse, and I'm very much on the same page as that. There should be a better solution to when it comes to these type of things. And then they may say, "Oh, what is your solution?" That I think we should work on a better method of coming into the states legally, and they don't want them to cross the border illegally, then it should be more accessible. But some may argue, oh, there is a method, but however, the method of this is much more complicated, and for a large majority of the unauthorized immigrants, no such line exists for them. If it is, it's such out of reach for them or in obscure places where they cannot go. Under the current immigration legal framework, lawful immigration to the U.S. is restricted to very few categories. You have to meet such certain criteria to lawfully come to the U.S. And I think that system should be rebuilt to allow a wider population of immigrants to pass through. With that, it will prevent much more illegal transportation, illegal entering of the U.S. That is my opinion on this topic of immigrant family separation.